Welcome to Strictly Ball Business. I'm pretty sure this is episode 36. We are talking a few fun topics here in the middle of the playoffs, as we are. Right now, one of the main guys that we want to discuss is Grand Theft Alvarado, with what you most know him as. His real name is Jose, but Jose Alvarado will dive into what makes him so great. And we'll also talk a bit about why the Nets' failure is all Kyrie's fault. And after that, we'll talk a bit about polarizing on the other end. Number one seed, sorry, stumbling on my words here. Number one seed Miami Heat. We think they're the finals favorite, possibly. So we're going to talk about a bit about what they are bringing to the table here in the playoffs. We'll also talk about Rookie of the Year winner Scotty Barnes and why he ended up being the selection. And lastly, we'll talk about Jordan Poole, a guy lots of people thought should have won or at least been nominated for Most Improved Player. And we're going to talk a bit about what is he going to do moving forward, what can we expect out of him this playoffs and heading into next year. So starting off, we are talking about the clamp god, the man, the myth, the legend, Jose Grand Theft Alvarado, I mean. Oh, man, I missed the L there that first time. Otherwise, it's been so great. Bruce Banner would have been running. I would have been looking for his job. Anyways, Grand Theft Alvarado is our hidden gem of the week. He is a 23-year-old rookie, and he's not so hidden anymore as he's been uncovered in these playoffs. He was obviously, everyone knows at this point, a Defensive Player of the Year just last season at Georgia Tech, and he's showing why. Even against guys like Chris Paul, forcing two 8-second violations so far this series.
Yeah, he's been awesome. He's the next coming of Pat Beverly in so many ways. Maybe not as a big of a personality, but he certainly has the antics to do. But
the personality will come, you know.
Yeah,
he certainly has the play style.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, he's 6 feet, 179 pounds. Does not strike you physically as the best defender, but he is. I mean, he's just sneaky. He just does the goofy stuff that I guess normal, that hiding in the in the over by the baseline, that's more taboo. Players are I mean, we could do that, but he just does it anyway. That's
he does the things that other guys are embarrassed to do, you know.
Yeah, which is fine. He's turned it into his personality, and it's NBA is not about image all told. It's about going out there and playing, and this guy just seems like he's just so happy to be playing NBA basketball. I mean, he was a 2-way contract pickup, got signed for a 4-year contract, 4-year, $6.7 million contract with a team option in the last year. I mean, but he doesn't.
The man's made it.
Yeah, I mean, you rarely ever see 4-year contracts that low, like a 4-year contract that goes $2 million. But he just doesn't care. He just wants to get out there and play, you know. And that's
a lot of money. You know, everything aside, sure, compared to other players, it may not seem like a lot, but to someone who probably hasn't seen $1 million in his life, I'm sure $4 million, $6 million sounds great.
Oh yeah, well that's over 4 years, so he gets about 1.5, which is still that's a lot to us.
Well, yeah, he accumulates that's guaranteed money.
It's all guaranteed except for the last year, but yeah. I mean, and
you gotta assume he'll get back into free agency after a couple good years here, and he'll get a nice second contract, assuming everything stays on the right trajectory. And for a guy like him who plays hard, I see no reason why he wouldn't. And the pressure that he just puts on ball handlers, teams are always going to be looking for guys like that because it's just relentless. You need to have guys with that type of mentality. It feeds off into other guys. Your comparison to Patrick Beverly, totally spot on. And if Jose can somehow energize his teammates into playing hard defense as well, you suddenly got a really good defensive team.
Yeah, defensive plays are, aside from insane dunks, are the thing that can inspire a team to play so much harder. I mean, I don't know if there's anything better than a nice defensive play that gets a team going. Honestly, aside from the physical fact that it opens up the fast break. But just one play, you get one fast break, there's always a timeout afterwards because coaches know how much that affects the team. And he's just full of these plays, constant. That's not the reason the Pelicans are doing well, but these moments really help. And the playoffs all about specific moments here and there. And he's showing that he can be out there and be effective. I mean, we've talked about Josh Okogie being a great defender and how well he is, but they don't put him on the floor because he's such an offensive liability. And Jose is really gaining that, especially in the playoffs. He's shooting 40% from three. I mean, only 7.4 points per game, but as a primary defender, you don't need to score that much. But what you do know, you do need to be a decent shot or someone where they can't just leave you and know you're not going to make it and you not make it. If he's shooting 40%, they're daring him to make it, and he is making them. That's so valuable just to have on both sides of the court.
Yeah, and there's obviously room for improvement with him. I think his shot looks fine. He's a little undersized, obviously, but usually that only matters in terms of defense. It kind of depends, like how far can he get that shot over guys? Do we need to adjust that shooting motion to make sure it is getting over the taller defenders? Maybe he really works on like a teardrop floater, something like that. Gets like some signature move where he can get inside and get a bucket. Because I think like that would really open up his game if he does that. Plus, be consistent on the corner three. He's set if he can do those types of things.
Yeah, for sure. I think off-ball shooting is the main part. I do like seeing that he has some playmaking potential. I mean, in the regular season, he only shot 29 from three, but he's improved over the season, and obviously he's improved into the playoffs. But 2.8 assists on 0.7 turnovers. I think there's some spark there for some tertiary or secondary playmaking off ball from CJ or Devontae Graham if he's coming off the bench. I think certainly that only helps out. We've seen, especially with the Golden State Warriors, how wing playmaking can just make a team. And obviously that's been Devin Booker's role, as he doesn't stack up assists, but that secondary playmaking, to have a really good playmaker be in that spot helps out. And certainly I think he can get to the point of the playmaking Devin Booker can be at, 5 assists with like with 1.5 turnovers type around that deal. And I know that doesn't seem like much, but it matters. Look at the Suns, right? And I think he can get there. Obviously not that offensive skill, but to be able to play make, like at very least like Devin Booker, will be so helpful off CJ and Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you just need guys that can help move the ball and keep things fluid within the offense, because as you see, if you can get everyone on the same level, maybe you got a few good passers, you're pushing it out to the perimeter, you're knocking it in on a pick and roll, and it's constantly moving, rather than having a stagnant ISO offense, which they can still do because they've got star level players who can do ISO, but you got to have your guys that can keep things fluid as well.
Oh yeah, and especially when Zion comes back, if he's gonna be on these fast breaks, getting these steals, he's got to be able to toss that lob up for Zion, and I think he's definitely gonna be able to do that. I mean, realistically,
Lonzo, so kind of needs someone to step up in terms of passing ability for sure.
Realistically, everyone on this team should be able to throw a lob with Zion on the team.
Yeah, he can catch most of them. So, I forget sometimes too that CJ is kind of more their de facto point guard at this point. He's going to probably be the starter at point guard next year. Obviously, Alvarado, primary backup, I assume at that point. Maybe he gets some minutes at the 2. He's probably a little small for that, but maybe dependent on matchups.
Yeah, he could definitely be at the 2. Who else? Oh, Herb Jones could definitely be out there. I think Herb Jones still would take it over Alvarado, GTA
for sure.
But I mean, certainly off the bench he's great, and I mean it doesn't hurt your depth to have a guy that can defend like that, especially if CJ goes down. I think they're going to lean, which CJ is a very injury-prone player. I'm sure they're going to lean on him a little bit more to do some playmaking. I don't know. I assume my assumption would be Devontae Graham would be the next up to. I mean, if CJ went down, Devontae would start as point guard. Is my assumption. I don't think they would put Alvarado, especially with Herb Jones in the lineup.
Maybe. I mean, if you want good defense, you put in Jose. But
yeah, I mean, Herb's still.
If you want okay offense, maybe put in Devontae. But I don't think like he's that much better than Alvarado.
Devontae Graham, certainly playmaking. Yeah. I think Devontae, and shooting, definitely shooting. Devontae
he's like Graham's not even like a high percentage 3-point shooter though. He's just a high volume 3-point.
He's a high volume, but still, I mean, even that takes its own. Like being able to, it means he's still getting into his spots and taking the shots. Eventually he will, I'm not eventually, but he makes enough, and he does. Certain nights he'll be really cold. His efficiency isn't from just consistently inefficient. I think it's more consistently inconsistent. Some nights he'll have a really good shooting night. Some nights he won't. But that's Devontae Graham. That's another video. I don't know. I think we're straying away from the point.
All right. Well, anyways, that's Grand Theft Alvarado, a hidden gem. Obviously, he's been uncovered by the New Orleans Pelicans at the ripe age of 23. Let's see what he keeps doing after this, guys. Let us know what you think. And that's about it on that guy. We're moving on to the Brooklyn Nets, and they crumpled apart. It was looking like Celtics Nets was going to be a fantastic series after that first game ending in that buzzer beater. Turns out it was not a good series. It was just a good old sweep. But the drama is great, and it turns out everything with the drama we believe was Kyrie Irving's fault, because everything really just follows the ripple effect. I don't think it's too hard to read between the tree leaves on this one, but obviously it all started out with the vaccine, refused to get it, him refusing to get it. They decide to make him a part-time player. Other guys, they start getting COVID. They're like, oh, well, Irving's still kind of healthy, so they reinstate him, which James Harden doesn't love that, seemingly, and so that causes issues. It seems like there was other issues with James as well, but he ends up getting traded, and then you inherit the Ben Simmons headache on top of that, and all on top of this, everything, Kyrie Irving wants a 5-year, $250+ million contract extension now at the end of the season. He's always missing games. He hasn't played over like 57 games in the last 6 years, maybe not in his entire career. And like, he is one of the most gifted players of all time. Statistically, he is fantastic. But after riding the coattails of LeBron James, he hasn't succeeded in the playoffs. He hasn't done anything without LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it. Yeah, 29 games this year. Obviously, it was because of the vaccination. And I think we've stated how many times we had a problem with that. We're like, listen, man, all things aside, like, your team needed you this whole time. And it's, even if you don't give a shit what I say, like, your team needed you to come out there and play, and it affected it. Like, they only played 16 games, Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, and they were 13-3. We were always worried about their defense and how it was going to be, but they seemed like their offense was enough to carry them. So they had it made. They really did. They were the favorites going into this season. He refused to get the vaccination, refused to play, and so everything occurred. Now, I get, like, a lot of people are going to lean on and be like, it's not his fault Ben Simmons doesn't want to play basketball. I'm like, you're right. That's not his fault. What his fault is that Ben Simmons is a net. Like, it's so hard not to say that what Kyrie did had no like effect on James Harden's decision to want to go to the 76ers. You can't say
it clearly was a contribution to the rift that was in the locker room already.
Yeah, you could think about if he was playing, how, like, clearly they'd be like, okay, maybe that would make him want to stay, because they would have been doing well. Like I said, 13-3 when they were all together, and they made it to the not the conference finals, semis.
Well, they were 1 inch away from getting past the Bucks in the semifinals, and everybody presumes if they had gone past the Bucks, they would have went to the finals and maybe won the whole damn thing. So
very well could have. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows if they would have actually done that? But they would have just had to get past the Hawks like the Bucks did, and I'd like to think that they could have got past them just the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely could have. But one thing that's going to come out of this is a lot of people are going to lean on Steve Nash. And I've said I don't think he's the best coach. However,
he's just a yes man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they hired him in. But however,
yeah.
I don't blame Steve Nash for this. I mean, like, how can you? He hasn't had his full team, let alone, like, when you have a star like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, when you write an offense, no matter what, the coach still has to write offensive plays and everything. How do you set up all these lineups and different plays when you don't know how he's not on the floor playing? Like, he might practice with them, but, like, you need to be on court. You need to be playing for these to matter. And it's so hard for a coach to just throw it together on the highest stage of basketball.
Yeah. Kyrie doesn't think he needs Steve Nash. That's the problem. Like, even just after the season ended, Kyrie said, me, Kevin Durant, Joe Tsai, and Sean Marks, we're going to work together to fix this team. He didn't even mention his head coach, Steve Nash. And like before the season, he made a comment like, I don't really think of us having a head coach. It's more like we're all the head coach. Like at one time, Steve's the head coach. Another time, I'm the head coach. Another time, Kevin's the head coach. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Steve Nash is the head coach.
Yeah, listen, like Kyrie wants to say how much the media hates him and how there's this narrative, but like here's the fact is you wanted out of Cleveland when you had it made. You just had gone to the finals the year before with LeBron just because you wanted you didn't want to be LeBron's sidekick. Left to the Celtics, which is also another made team. They made it to the conference finals without you. All you had to do was make it work, and you got
jealous.
And you locker rooms issues there, locker room issues in Cleveland. So then you go to the Nets. Look what's happening. Like I don't listen.
So that's so weird.
So
There's been
crazy.
Problems everywhere.
There's a
that
definite
Kyrie's
correlation. Yeah.
But somehow it's been everyone else's fault.
So I do want to touch on where does Kyrie's fault end and where does it fall on KD to be like, listen, man, they put this team together for you to lead. They signed Kyrie on because you wanted him to be there. How much does this fall on KD?
I think a good amount of blame does fall on Kevin Durant because the only reason they put up with Kyrie's stuff is because Kevin Durant wants him on the team. And like if it was their choice, they probably would have gotten rid of Kyrie before James Harden. They would have tried to work things out there.
Yeah.
But obviously, like personalities is just such a big factor here, and we knew that when the team was put together. And Durant is like the key reason this team's been put together. Like he is the center point of it. It's not a super team without him. So I think a good amount of blame should go to him.
I feel like it's his leadership style, and this isn't.
He's not a leader. That's why.
Well, so this isn't really. Okay, I do think he is a leader in like different ways. So I think he's the same type of leader as Steph Curry, where he's a great role model. He's great for the young players that can come up. You can talk with him. He's such a good team player.
Steph Curry is miles better, miles ahead.
Without Draymond Green, Draymond Green is that leader. LeBron's that type of leader. All them, Chris Paul, they're all the same type of alpha leadership. Steph Curry's not an alpha leadership. You listen to him, you gravitate towards him. But Kyrie needs that LeBron, that Chris Paul, that Draymond to be like, hey man, like when the vaccination stuff was happening,
that Kyrie thinks he's that guy.
Yeah. So exactly. So that's where KD had to figure it out. And if he should have sat him down and be like, listen, man, we need you to be out there on the court. We have James Harden. This is our window. We can do it on our own without anybody, without Steph Curry, without the Golden State Warriors, without LeBron. That's the narrative. And James Harden, they all had the same narrative that they wanted to complete. And he's like, that way, if Kyrie wouldn't have put up with it, he would have been like, okay, fine, we're keeping James Harden, but Kyrie's
they probably said all those things to Kyrie when they were trying to get him to get the fucking vaccine, but he wouldn't do it. And then James Harden got pissed, and then they just like, okay, I guess we're gonna side with Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. It was bad. We'll see what happens next year. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be as deep as they are this next year. I mean, LaMarcus is up, his contract's up, Drummond is up. Say what you will about Drummond, but like he still played some valuable minutes for these guys. He played some nice. Without them, they would have had no interior presence at all, like defensively. Even though he's not the best defensive player, he still is enough. I think he's enough.
It's like for a lot of teams, like they can't do any better for that type of player
on a minimum contract, and you get a guy like Andre Drummond, who will at the very least pull down as many rebounds as he can.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a great pick and roll partner at the very least. So like, there's so much worse you can get for centers out there, and now he's definitely going to get a contract from anyone else. Blake Griffin's already a shell, is getting so much worse year by year. LaMarcus Aldridge, same deal. Like, you're just gonna have like Steph Curry. Joe Harris is falling off. He's injured right now, but he's falling off. You're gonna have to lean on guys like Nick Claxton, who he's a great player. I love Nick Claxton. He can certainly step into that center role. But then you guys got like Cam Thomas stepping up, Patty Mills. Like, your depth is just you're gonna lose a lot of veteran presence now this coming up next year, and I don't know what they're gonna do.
Find new ones.
I mean, they have Ben Simmons.
I think they can convince guys, to come veteran ring shop with them again. Even if like, I mean, I don't know. Like, they shouldn't be considered a favorite going into next year. Obviously, many other teams should be considered that. But many teams are going to gravitate to them nonetheless because of the stars they have. That draws guys in.
Really? Yeah. I mean, like, I see it because, like, I talked a lot about, I thought PJ Tucker was like a lock to go into the Nets last year. I talked about that in the offseason. And if it was the same situation on this team now, I don't see PJ Tucker wanting anything to do with the Nets, And it's like vets like that really matter. Like, look what he's done with the Heat. He's been great. He's even had more like offense with the Heat. So, like, I don't like, if that's the caliber of vets you want to sign, I don't see none of them interest me. I look at guys like the Bucks. I see guys like the Warriors. Obviously, those are good teams, but even the Hawks, I think I would rather go to the Hawks. Be like, you need defensive help, I'll go there. All things considered, the Hawks look more functional. They might not be the best fit of all that talent next to each other, much like.
Hot take. I mean, there's no way the Hawks are better than the Nets next season.
I'm not saying better. I'm saying, like, I mean, it depends if they have what offseason they have. But
there's zero chance the Hawks finish ahead of the Nets next year. I'm calling it right now.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Asinine.
Kyrie's fault. I do think if Kyrie would have gotten back, that we'd be talking about something totally. We'd be talking about them in the conference finals right now, or at least making it past the first round.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is too. Harden is not who he used to be. He's not very good right now. He's still a great playmaker, so at least there's that. But shooting wise, fucking atrocious. Throw it in the dumpster type of play. So I don't know. We'll see how much it progresses next year. Harden could be really bad real soon.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, this guy's been put in 3 different roles in 2 years. It's crazy. But we'll see what he does in this next series against the Heat.
I wouldn't say he's been put in 3 different roles, but
he's put himself.
He put himself in those roles. But let's move on. Let's talk number 1 seed Miami Heat. They could be the finals favorite. They simply just pull talent out of guys. I mean, what I love the most about this team is each year someone new seems to emerge. It was Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero before. This year, Caleb Martin is looking really nice. Max Strus is looking really nice. Obviously, Tyler Hero bounced back in the best way this year. He's locked for 6th man of the year. And they had a guy who, if he played enough games, could have been defensive player of the year too, in Bam Adebayo. So top to bottom, this is a really talented roster, and they're about to face likely the Sixers, unless the Sixers end up choking the series. In that case, they would face the Raptors. Either way, I would take the Heat in against either of those opponents. So I believe they'll probably make it to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. So,
yeah, I'm betting on seeing the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not convinced who's going to make it out of the Bucks and Celtics, especially with Chris Middleton most likely missing the whole series. I mean, the Heat have been great. Yeah, like you said, they find Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He is so great for developing players like Max Strus, Caleb Martin. They've been great. I mean, even take what he did with Oladipo off all the injuries, been thrown around. He's at the 8 games he played at the end of the season, even some of the minutes he's played in the playoffs, he's looking like certainly he'll never return to what he was, but he's looking like a great rotational player, a nice vet to have on the team. He certainly doesn't look like a negative on the floor anymore. But this Heat team, I think it's kind of crazy to see them in the first seed because they've had a lot of injury issues. I mean, Butler was out for 23 games. Bam out for 22 games, Lowry 19 games, and obviously Oladipo missed 74 games. So they've missed one of their 3 stars just about the entire season. They've been fully healthy very minimal time.
I think it was just, a matter of them climbing to the top of the shit mountain that is the East, because like none of the teams there finished with above 60 wins. Like if there was a phenomenal team in the East, they would have finished above 60 wins, but none of them did. So king of the shit mountain is what we'll call the Miami Heat.
Oh yeah. So, but if we want to look at some of their strengths, their definite weakness is their playmaking or like star offensive potential. So I know Jimmy is great, Kyle Lowry's great, but they're getting older. Both of them are getting older, and Jimmy last finals put on a great show, did everything he could offensively. However, they're 12th in offense. They're just a very smart team. They're first in 3-point percentage, and where are they? I think they're 14th in attempts. So they do everything. They just do the right things. It's just if it comes down to, they're not an ISO team, certainly not. Which, does that limit them? Does that not? I mean, we'll see. I guess it depends on the team. I think if they're facing individual defenders, there's some on the Bucks that you can certainly target and go at. But the Bucks have Giannis, and best help defender in the league. So that we'll see how that shakes up. The Celtics, I said it before, the Celtics versus Heat could be the most interesting playoff matchup we have in this year. I'm rooting for the Bucks, but I honestly can't. I think that would be the most exciting playoff series, is the Heat against the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Celtics are possibly the best team in the NBA right now, so wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what ends up coming down to, and I think it'd be super fun too. I think, either way, I love the Bucks. I love seeing Giannis out there, so either way, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and I think just how the defensive schemes they would have for the Celtics. I think we know pretty much how they're gonna go for the Bucks because we've seen it how many years before. But I think the Celtics would be really interesting. Even the Suns, if it was a Heat and Suns finals, I think that would be crazy. I would love to see that. Devin Booker go against this defense. Like the Celtics are the best defense in the league, but the Heat are, I think they're just the scariest. They have so many on-ball defenders. Their team defense is great. I think they would have been the best defense in the league if not for all the injuries. So Trae Young looked like he was in hell. He looked so sad when he was facing them. There was that one possession where he went from PJ to Jimmy to Bam. He just looked so fed up. He got all the switches. He's like, there's no winning here.
Yeah, he had a terrible series. Pretty rare to see from Trae. Usually, you would expect him to get something going in at least one of the games, get some buckets. But
he did.
I mean, he really just had a terrible series overall.
Yeah, and I don't blame him too much. I mean, he did have a good series, and I know after this series, Trae Young is the type of player he's going to be watching this playoff series over and over again throughout the summer, and he will get better from it. However, it just shows, I think it showed so much how scary this defense is. They're going to be incredible. They attack everything. They can switch everything. It's just, there's no safe place. I mean, even when Tyler Herro's on the floor, even if you get by him, you get Bam, you get PJ. Their help defense incredible. Everyone knows the next rotation. They can pick up the next man. Just a very smart team. Spoelstra has shown.
Yeah, they exposed the Hawks. They exposed Trae. Trae's been exposed as a bad teammate, actually, because the last huddle in that last game, the Hawks were down by 4. They were drawing up the last shot, actually drawing up a shot for Trae Young. And he sat out of the huddle. He just looked on away like he was sad, disappointed in his 4 of 20 performance. But I don't know, maybe be a good teammate next time, Trae. That's some big shit, not going to lie.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot of times, sometimes the point guard has to hear is the play because they know that much. But I'm not going to assume too much.
He was completely outside of the huddle, not even looking in. And by the time they broke the huddle, he was 10 feet away walking towards the court. So I would say he was not paying attention. Yeah, and the play was a mess. So.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been tough, but the Heat, as it stands right now, are my favorites to go to the finals. It would have been the Bucks. We'll see. I'm not convinced because the Middleton injury. So as it stands, if Middleton does not come back this series, I will lean towards the Celtics beating the Bucks without Middleton. But then I think the Heat
He's
would
not
beat the
coming
Celtics.
back this series. They already ruled him out.
Did they already rule him out?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did
I see
today.
the Bucks against the Heat, and I see the Heat beating the Celtics. I mean the Celtics against the Heat. I see the Heat beating the Celtics.
Okay.
And then we'll see the Sun. We'll still see the Suns and the Heat in the finals.
We'll see. I think that would be fun. The Suns and the Heat would be kind of funny. It'd be the power of fire or whatever. Let's move on. Talk about Rookie of the Year winner, Scotty Barnes. He's had an amazing season. 72 games played. He averaged 15 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists with good defense. He's learning from our boy Pascal Siakam. He's got great energy, and he seems like he's a fun guy to be around. I think they love him over there. And really, on draft night, a lot of people were surprised to see the Raptors select him over Jalen Suggs. But clearly, just based on 1 year, the Raptors know what they're doing, and us schmucks do not.
Yeah. I mean, Majiri knew all of the right decisions. I was like, all right. I heard it. I was like, surprising, but makes sense. Like, I trust him, and he's been great. He's been awesome. He's been everything they wanted out of the guy they drafted: playmaking, defense. They get rebounding. His 3-point shot is still lacking, but they knew that. I think it can get up to certainly better than a Draymond Green level at the very least, or at least you have to guard him. But I'm excited to see what kind of he's gonna definitely be an all-star, but not the typical all-star everyone sees. He's gonna be like when Draymond Green first won his all-star, is gonna be like that, but better scoring. He's certainly great. I mean, it's because of him they can run this crazy lineup with no center, with Van Vliet, Trent Jr., Anunoby, Siakam, and Scotty. And Scotty plays the center for a lot of it. It really makes their transition defense scary. Like, it's almost like fast breaks aren't even a thing because they're all so agile and so young. They can get up the floor like that. When you see it, like, it's not the same fast break as you always see because they have 2 or 3 guys out there constantly ready to run. And I don't know what their next step will be if they lose the series. Obviously, they'll have to switch something up. You can't put it all on Scotty Barnes just to get better. I look at this lineup and I see it as who's the odd man out if they do want to go out and get a center. Maybe even introduce some more shooting into that lineup, I think would certainly help. And I think OG is the guy. I think he's the odd man out or at least the guy that gets moved to the bench if they get a shooting big like a Daniel Tice or someone. I think, didn't they have Daniel Tice earlier this season?
No.
Who had Daniel Tice earlier this season? Because the Celtics traded for him.
They traded for him before the season started. I think before he was on either the Bulls or the Rockets.
Oh, Bulls probably. I think he was on the Bulls. Yeah, I'd like to see them get a center that can space the floor for them at least. Certainly if they already have Scotty Barnes and Siakam down there, then there's no loss having the center out on the wing or somewhere getting ready to shoot on the defense or offensive end. I think they're 27th pace. So adding a center could make it worse, but at this time, but Nick Nurse is a very half-court offense type guy, so I don't think it would be that big of a change.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miles Turner, obviously, first name comes to mind, would be great for them. He can shoot the 3. He can be a great defender for them, and maybe Indiana has some interest in OG. He's a young player who can provide really solid perimeter defense. You build around him and Tyrese a little bit. Yeah, and he can shoot the 3. Maybe he shows out a little bit more in a bigger role with Indiana even.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would almost be a perfect fit with Miles Turner because you don't have to lean on him to get the rebounds. Obviously, Scotty and Siakam have been doing it on their own, and that's one thing Miles Turner has proven to be is not a good rebounder. Shooting, shot blocking aside, they'd get all that, then increase their defense. I think that'd be great. I'd love to see it. And OG is certainly a great prospect. You might have to. I mean, if not, the Raptors probably have to throw in a little more, but maybe. But that's not the worst thing. Indiana. If I was Indiana, and I got drafted Chet or anyone close to that, I would love to have OG. I'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. OG is a perfect fit. He's an off-ball shooter, great defense next to Halliburton. I think he would fit great. I mean, you can never go wrong with such elite 3-and-D wings like OG. And I think Halliburton would love it.
Got to start adding good defenders to your starting five and guys who can get their own buckets. So makes a ton of sense to me. I don't think that they could get Siakam out of it. I don't think Toronto probably wants to trade Siakam anyways. So I think that's not really an option.
No, the way Siakam has returned to form this last season. I mean, we were talking about a lot of trade candidates before the season, and he's really fallen into it. We thought he would be the odd man out, but no, it seems like he's still the superstar that he is. I mean, other people have talked about it. That could he be the odd man out? Could he be out? Including me. I was looking at it, but because he had a down last 2 years, honestly. But he's come back. Yeah, he's looking fine. So, I think Miles Turner would be great. Hey, maybe like they can put a package in for Cat.
Maybe you can go shoot your head, bullet in your mullet. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking Jordan Poole next. He just had a solid season, 18.5 points per game, flashy footwork and flashy passes. He shot over 36% from three on almost 8 attempts. So this is a guy who I think is the real deal. I think a lot of people see that as well. Obviously, with all the draft picks Golden State has had recently, it's funny that this is the guy that's breaking out. But hey, you never know. Sports are a weird thing, and guys respond to coaching differently. And this guy is Steve Kerr's wizard, man.
Yeah,
it's working out.
Oh yeah, like they talk about it all the time on Sports Center and ESPN how he's just such a perfect fit that he can be thrown in for Clay or Steph, and they don't even have to change the play because he's that talented. And I think, that's great, but he has so much versatility. I mean, is he going to be a 6-man? Is Wiggins going to step out? Are they going to buy into a regular season at Draymond at center? I don't think so, because that's a lot of work, and Draymond's already had troubles with injuries. I still think you start Kevon Looney. I think he's worth. I mean, look at Tyler Herro, how he's excelling. I still think Jordan Poole's worth having a 6-man award, and you can do him like Lou Will and like pull out all these lineups all you want. I mean, if anything, it's Wiggins that's going to get booted out of the starting lineup, but that's a lot of money. But Wiggins does give you some more length and versatility.
They'll try to get rid of Wiggins this offseason if they can, but, big money, it's going to be hard to figure that one out. Maybe you can find some guy who's better than Looney that you can put at center in a trade for Wiggins. Who knows? But regardless, I think they're hoping for James Wiseman to be their starting center at some point here. And I think Jordan Poole definitely looks like he's starter capable, but that type of talent can work perfectly fine as a 6-man. We just saw Tyler Herro is going to win 6-man of the year, and he had the 3rd most minutes played on the Miami Heat. So it doesn't really mean much. I would hope that Jordan Poole's ego wouldn't get hurt too bad coming off as a 6-man for maybe 2 years till someone bows out for him, like at most. Like it wouldn't be a long thing for him. I'm sure he would be starting pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think how far he's come really shows how set these Warriors are. Like when I was first watching him, he's an unpolished player in the NBA. I thought like whatever, he's just getting minutes because Steph Curry is injured. This was 2 years ago, and Steph and Clay were out for most of the season. I didn't think much of him. And then this year, really, we've been talking about him all year. He's been huge. Definitely one of the most improved players. He's been awesome. And it just makes me look at Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman. And I've shown worries about both of them and how they're going to progress. But I trust his training staff now after what they turned Jordan Poole into. Obviously, granted, a lot of this is on him. He's a very talented player, and he's improved a lot. But if the training staff can give the same trajectory to Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman, these Warriors are set for years. Oh, that's going to be ridiculous. If they don't even have to get close to him, because right now he's playing at an all-star level in the playoffs. But if Jonathan Kuminga can get close to that, obviously with different skill sets, same thing with James Wiseman, it's going to be a scary team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them all panning out. I think that's just not realistic. It so far looks like James Wiseman is going to be a bust, but I hope.
I mean,
I wouldn't say wrong.
I wouldn't say he's going to be a bust. I would say
so far, based on what we've seen,
I'd say he's certainly an injury-prone player. I don't. It's tough for me to say someone's a bust when they haven't played much, just because
I'd say he is a bust. I'd say he's probably going to be a bust.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I associate bust more with like skill type than availability, but I can say it's a waste. But yeah, that's what I mean.
Greg Oden was a bust.
Greg Oden, yeah, well,
because of injuries.
So, they have him for another year. So Jordan Poole's extension, he's extension eligible this season. So they have up until what?
Damn, he can't read.
Yeah, up until I think, when does the extension? I think it's close to the trade deadline. So probably like December, I think, is the extension deadline for the rookies. So they have up until then to figure out what they want to pay him. I can see them holding on to him and seeing what he makes in restricted free agency. That's not the biggest concern for them. Obviously, when that comes along, they will definitely want to be off Wiggins' money. And Wiggins has another he's on for that year, so they're either gonna have to trade him or something, or figure something out salary wise, because they're gonna keep the big three together. I mean, Kuminga and Wiseman has another year after that. Kuminga has another year after that. So that they're not going to be concerns. They're going to hold on to them. I mean, they can hold on to them longer. But Jordan Poole, we're going to see. I don't think he's going to get an extension. Do you think he's going to get an extension, or are they going to wait till free agency?
I think they would probably see what he gets offered, but we'll see what type of season he puts in next year. If he, continues what he's doing in the playoffs and somehow averages over 20 points per game next year on efficient shooting, I think definitely he's worth giving an extension to. And, treat your guy, come to an agreement before you have to go to free agency. I think that would send a good sign to your fans.
Yeah, and the Golden State Warriors front office are really good about that. They seem to make the right decision. I mean, they just did the best reload in NBA history. Or the fastest. It's not a rebuild.
Well, easy to do when you didn't lose Steph Curry.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, and Klay Thompson out for 2 years. Draymond's been in and out, whatever. So yeah, they definitely did the best reload. They got 3 great prospects. I still put Wiseman. I know Wiseman's injury prone, but I still have the best of hope for him. I don't think any of his potential got wasted away. Kuminga has shown great flashes. He's just obviously a young player, and that's why he's not getting as many minutes in the playoffs. But Jordan Poole, if he's the standard, or if he's even the peak, if they get close to him, they've done a great job. Front office, everything towards them, they're doing great. I think they're the MVP. If someone doesn't win Executive of the Year from Golden State Warriors, that's a crime.
Well, for this year, why would they deserve Executive of the Year for this year? Just because they got healthier?
Well, because all of the decisions they made this year. I mean, yeah, granted they're healthier, but the way they drafted, the way everything, the trades, what not to trade.
I'm not going to give them Executive of the Year because Jordan Poole's had a great year.
Well, obviously it's not all on that. I mentioned a bunch of other things that they've done right. But yeah, being fully healthy does help.
think Executive of the Year should probably go to your Bulls guy for gambling on that DeMar DeRozan contract and working out.
Yeah, that's still one signing. I mean, but yeah.
But he also brought in Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso.
Yeah, but they also got gentlemen swept in the first round. Warriors are going to go to the conference finals.
Okay, so if we're just doing that, let's give it to the Suns guy or whoever wins the championship at the end of the year. If you want to do it just based on that.
I mean, what he's done, the decisions they've made have had more successful effect. It's not one decision. It was everything. If it's only 1 year, I guess. Well, it is. But I mean,
it's 1 year. Yes, we're looking just at what this year.
Drafting
this year.
Yeah, drafting Jonathan Kuminga. The Wiggins trades turned out.
Why would I give him anything? Wiggins should not have been an All-Star this year.
Oh no,
it's not turned out. He's been terrible ever since the All-Star break.
he's fit into. He's been terrible because Clay has come back, so he's had so many less. He's
up
not that he's
because
terrible.
He's on the Warriors.
His efficiency is still fine. He's still playing decent defense.
No, it's not.
Decent.
Look at his efficiency, shooting over or under 40% since the All-Star break. That's not fine.
It's not hurting them though. That's the biggest point. It's not hurting
Sure
the Warriors. His shot. Okay, every missed shot hurts every team. But just because somebody like Anthony Edwards misses tons of shots, but he's still a plus.
He hurts our team too.
But he doesn't. He's still a plus because of all the defense and playmaking he adds. Granted, Wiggins isn't playmaking. Wiggins is adding valuable defense, and he's staying within the scheme, and he's doing everything. He's making the shots that he has to make.
Yeah, he's like he's a
games.
low usage player, but you should get more out of $30 million maybe.
Yeah, well, all things considered, but they didn't give him that contract. They just traded for that contract.
They are
using him as the tool they are having. They can't just trade for a player and say, all right, they gave you $30 million, but we're going to give you $5 million because that's what you deserve.
But they don't have to trade for players.
Well,
who have big contracts.
It's turned out they got Jonathan Kuminga and Wiggins for a deal.
Yeah, I say jury's still out. I don't know if that's a good trade.
I still think that was they've definitely won that trade as we take it today.
I would not say they definitely won. I mean, D'Lo just put in his best regular season of his career, possibly. He hasn't had a good playoffs. But I try not to look at everything with a micro lens.
Well, no, I would still say like even everything up until this point, Wiggins and Kuminga. And I think it'll only go up from there. Just the struggles.
I think Kuminga's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but he's. It's just when it comes to this Warriors team, they used those draft picks. I was surprised they didn't, cash in to trade for a guy because once you use the draft picks, they're not sexy anymore. Now you've got prospects, and once they start playing, all of a sudden teams decide their opinions of them. Oh, now teams think James Wiseman is shit. Now teams don't think Moses Moody is anything crazy special. Jonathan Kuminga looks decent, but we just it's hard to see a lot out of guys that never play because you can't trust them in the playoffs. You've got other guys you're playing ahead of them. I would expect one of those three guys between Moody, Wiseman, and Kuminga, for sure, one of those three gets traded this offseason.
For sure, one of them gets traded this offseason. I'm not convinced that the Golden State Warriors make any trades this offseason. I can see a trade deadline. I mean, it's tough. Like, what do you think? What would they go out and get?
Well, they need to get like a rim protecting center who can also at least play the pick and roll a little bit. If they can possibly get a replacement for Wiggins, I think that would be great. Maybe even just getting Harrison Barnes back. But I think in general, you just gotta decide: do you want to open up playing time for the young guys or not?
I think it depends how healthy they are. Obviously, if they go into it and they're still fully healthy, I think they're just going to compete and throw out and give minutes where minutes are given. I think all of Otto Porter's minutes, because he's a 1-year deal. I think a lot of those are going to go to Jonathan Kuminga next year. I think they're going to show him. He's going to go through another summer camp. He's going to gain more experience. I think Wiseman's going to be ready by season opener next year. He was close to coming back already. And they just kind of said no. They're just like, let's just leave it. It's fine. Like, you haven't played at all this season. We're not going to throw you in the playoffs, which is a smart move on their end. Moody would probably, I'd lean towards, be the most tradable. However, he has all things considered this season, he has shown a lot more smarter basketball play. He just hasn't had the talent. Whereas the opposite, Kuminga has had all the talent this season, but he's made some stupid choices in the regular season. Defensively, offensively, he's still an unpolished player. But so it's almost like we'll see how it happens.
That's what's tough is you need those guys to get experience to get polished. I just don't know how many opportunities they're going to be getting. But you make a good point with Kuminga. I think he'll get plenty of opportunity. I don't really see it from Moody. I do think he probably would be the most likely to get chopped. If they wanted to hold on to him, they're just gonna end up cutting him in a couple of years, is what I would think.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Gary Payton certainly filled what would have been Moody's role this season, with the defense and three-point shooting.
Awesome.
So Gary Payton definitely, if they don't re-sign him, that'll be criminal, unless they just can't afford him, unless someone pays him obscene money. But Gary Payton fills that role, and if Gary Payton or injuries come out, then you'll see Moody get more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they'd want to keep Gary Payton. I'd be surprised if they let him go, because I'm sure he wouldn't cost much.
No, very much like a defender like GTA. They're very comparable players, 3-and-D type guards. So they're gonna keep him around. Plus, he's great. He just fits in with the chemistry of the Warriors so well. He's part of the culture now. So hold on to him. It's cheap. I don't think they're gonna spend more than $2 million re-signing, $2 or $3 million re-signing the guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he's a key helper in what can be another championship here. I think they're definitely going to be in the fold for the next couple of years, no doubt. As long as they have Steph Curry and Draymond Green, I think they'll be in great shape.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So yeah, that's Strictly Ball Business. Subscribe down below and let us know where to get the dub.
Hey guys, like and subscribe to our videos. I like talking balls. You guys like hearing about balls. Come on, just do it. Press the button.